There is a critical process in business that most people overlook, which is a shame because this process contributes to client retention, to more referrals, to your life being easier when delivering on a project or scope of work. And that process is client onboarding. Now, client onboarding is a critical transitionary process. It connects sales and operations. It is the bridge between those two departments or pillars in the business. And it has two really important jobs. The first job of client onboarding is to reassure your client that they made the right decision in giving you their money. The second job is setting you and your client up for success in a way that makes both of your lives easier. And most people don't do either of those jobs with client onboarding because oftentimes when people think about SOPs, it tends to really be about the service delivery aspect of things and operations. And we miss this bridge process that contributes to all the other processes going smoothly. All right, so we're going to dive into 3 steps that will help you simplify client onboarding and elevate it. So step number 1 is a little bit of an emotional and practical brain dump. I want you to think through what you want your clients to experience throughout their time working with you. This is going to connect back to your ideal client profile, to your brand reputation, the value that you bring to your clients, the results that working with you will create, all of those things, what you want your clients to feel and experience. We're really diving into like vibe and reassurance here, but still practical and functional. To take this question and this step a little bit further, you could think through what might possibly cause buyer's remorse and how can you prevent it? What makes a client think immediately like, heck yeah, this is going to be a great team to work with. I'm even more excited for this project after giving you my money. What expectations do we need to communicate or convey with them at this point that, just didn't make sense to bring up in the sales conversations? This is going to create our North Star for not only our client onboarding process, but also all of your other service delivery processes. And you're essentially saying, here's the experience and results that we're delivering, and here's the feeling that we want them to walk away with. And then when we figure that out, that leads us into step 2. So step 2 is then saying, okay, based on this experience that we need to curate, here's the information that we're going to need. We're going to identify all the little bits and details that we need to make that experience happen. This could be key details about their company, maybe information or emails, contact information for the leadership team or employees if we're doing a workshop or training. This could be understanding what might your team need from you. If you have a team that's helping you with service delivery, then what information will they need to execute on their jobs? Is there anything that the client is going to need access to? This is just a huge brain dump of information and details that we are saying we need to create this client experience. For example, in our client onboarding, it's all about getting a virtual assistant onboarded with a client. And typically we have this information in sales, but the checklist is often about what specifically are the tasks that the client wants the assistant to do. And then based on those tasks, what do they need access to? Like if you want them cleaning up your inbox or managing your calendar, well, they need your email login. If you want them helping with clients, they need access to your CRM and they need an accurate list of active clients and the scope of work for those clients. If you want them helping with LinkedIn connections, well, they got to have the login for LinkedIn. All of those little things that are going to allow us to execute on the work. That's what we're just defining in step 2. We don't have to think about the how. That's step 3. Step 2 is just getting the checklist down on paper. This is also a good opportunity if you have a client onboarding process now. This is an opportunity to look at that and say, okay, what maybe do you not need? Like what have we overcomplicated in this process as well? So if you have something existing, then you should not only be listing out information that you maybe have not been gathering, but also looking at what have you already been gathering that you don't need and is overcomplicating your process. So once we have that list, then we're going to go into step 3, which is how do we get this information? But there's a little add-on here. How do we get this information, but with a white glove experience? Because if we go back to the 2 jobs that client onboarding is supposed to do, it's reassuring the client but it's also making both of our lives easier. So it's not just about give me all this information to make my life easier. It's about how do I help you as the client feel taken care of with this white glove experience. And white glove doesn't need to be fancy. It just means easy and intentional. Like I do not have to worry or think about it. An example from our business would be we create a support plan document that says, hey, here's all the things that you have to give your VA access to. You don't have to do it beforehand. We could do it on the onboarding call together. Here's also a how we work guide. This is tips and tricks on how to really work best with your assistant. Here's what to expect on staying up to date on the hours that your assistant is working. Like we'll send out these reports. Here's your client portal. I also include things that are in their contract, but are just important things to know. Like, did they actually read through their contract? I don't know. They might have just signed it. So that how we work document reiterates some of that information, and they don't have to read through all of it because we also talk through some of it in a very conversational way on their onboarding call. This is saying like, hey, we have this checklist of information that we need. Is the best way to gather it with your type of client? Is that going to be a form? Is it going to be, hey, we got a lot of this information in the sales conversation, so we just need to make sure that the transcripts have an AI summary that's in the CRM so our ops team can easily see that? Is it going to be an onboarding call to get some of these things? Like that works for our agency because most of our clients just like to talk things through and they don't want to read through a bunch of stuff. So an onboarding call works best to get that information. For some clients, some industries, they don't want to waste time on a call and a meeting. You got to think through back to that ideal client profile, back to what you want the clients to experience. What's the way to connect step 1 and step 2 in a very easy way? And there might be elements in this step 3 that you're figuring out that like, okay, I need to get this, I need to get that. But I, as the owner or as the consultant, whomever, don't want to be doing those things. That's where an assistant, a virtual assistant can play a really great role, is helping you really have an awesome client onboarding experience where you don't have to touch a lot of stuff in this process. The assistant is doing it in a way that is contributing to client retention, referrals, and an easier project. So those are also some things to look at when it comes to what can you delegate and take off of your plate while still simplifying and elevating the business overall. All right, take some time to figure out client onboarding because it is super critical in connecting sales and ops. It's a key foundational thing for any business. So take some time to figure out that process. And if you have any questions, you can leave a comment or email my team and I at info@auxosvs.com. So if you've got a quick question on how to simplify something in your client onboarding experience, just send it over to our team and we'll be happy to just check that out for you. All right, catch you next time.